Speculation. And every entrepreneur wants to focus on that. Until you've done that, I hate to have too much focus on that because everybody wants to do the flashy things first. They want to build from the top down. Bad idea. For every 100 stories there are of the person who made their money in Bitcoin, there's 100,000 who can't afford to tell their story because they can't even buy a blog. The key is do predictable things to build your wealth, build that place, build your speculation bucket from a place of security, not a place of need.
By the way, Jennifer Hude Moscow was just on my show. It releases in a couple of weeks, and she was talking. There's actually she actually gave us a sheet to get into that flow. So she actually it's part of the Vivid Vision, your 36-month vision. So for those who are listening to Sam and want to know, well, how do I know all those things I love to do? If you actually go back to the Jennifer Hude podcast, and if you go to the attachment there, if you look, there's a PDF for you. We actually have a spreadsheet for you to really go deeper into what. To your point, what really gets you into that flow state. So we will help you with that. And I thought it'd be really fun because now you're starting to see how Jennifer's work, how it all links together.
The web of how everything works together is so beautiful.
It's beautiful. But to actually connect it, and Sam, one thing you said something that was very powerful, but I want to really hit on this is, so what Sam was saying is, look, first figure out your burn rate. That's my first thing is to a client is figure out your burn. What's it cost to live the life I'm living now? Where I can pay my rent, pay my food, and just breathe a little bit, go out on a date, go to a restaurant.
Not be thinking about money.
Not be thinking about money, not being worried about next month's rent, but just enough. How much is that? And if you don't know, I've covered this in past episodes. Usually your credit cards, you can actually quickly get a tally on how to figure out your burn rate. So just for the beginning, like Sam just said, and then when you get, you go through these levels. And so what Sam was saying when he went through his numbers, if let's just say your burn rate was $200,000, what Sam was quickly doing in his mind was saying, what would it take to generate in passive income $200,000?
Right.
And what return would you have to make in order to generate that $200,000?
Right.
So on $2 million, it's a 10% return, right? So what he was doing is, we can help you with this if you need some help and again, that just means if you do that, Justin Donald says, if you actually get your cash flow to meet your needs and then your flow, guess what you've done for wealth? You win. That's actually winning.
Yeah, it is.
It's never net worth. We're going to say this. I'm going to keep repeating this till you guys get it. It is not your net worth. Your net worth, everyone who knows money will tell you it's not your net worth. That's your vanity number. That's the number you can feel good about in your head. You can talk about a big number.
Doesn't make you feel wealthy.
But it's meeting that cash flow need that is winning wealth with the other things tied into it that we've been discussing.
Yeah. And that's honestly one of the biggest things that pull people away from waking up happy, being present during the day, and going to bed at night peacefully is not winning their wealth game. This is especially true for men, but it's true across the board, all genders across the board. It's especially true when you don't feel like you are winning the money game. It pulls you out of your flow on a routine basis. And this is a very simple way that says, if I know no matter what, I've created generational wealth that is going to make sure that myself, my unit, my family unit, whatever that looks like, are going to be taken care of in a way that we will never be poor. We can maintain our security. That's a big thing. Very few people do that. And as soon as you do that and you actually do it tactically, then you understand the mindset behind it strategically, you are going to be a creator more than you're not. And that is the goal. And you do that. And this is why this message is so important to me, is you preach this message, 100 people who grasp this and make that shift, the amount of impact it makes in the world is dramatic. And that's the ripple effect that I want to be able to leave.
This is probably the most important thing you guys can hear. If you hear for the entire episode, Alex, we're going to clip this. This is it, guys. You can go to 1,000, you can read 10,000 books. You can go on and on. What Sam is saying in our conversation is the key to your happiness and truly being wealthy. So you just got it. Sam, let's continue on. So the bottom, not buckets yet. Yeah. The bottom of the pyramid is liquidity.
Yes.
The middle part is cash flow, but there's a top. Tell us about the top.
Speculation. And every entrepreneur wants to focus on that until you've built your cash flow past your lifestyle needs. Whatever that number is, your burn rate as you describe it, or I call it the security number. Until you've done that, I hate to have too much focus on that because everybody wants to do the flashy things first. They want to build from the top down. Bad idea. There's for every 100 stories there are of the person who made their money in Bitcoin, there's 100,000 who can't afford to tell their story because they can't even buy a blog. So don't, from my mindset, the key is do predictable things to build your wealth, build that place, build your speculation bucket from a place of security, not a place of need. And so Speculation I could talk about all day because it's fun.
It's fun and sexy.
We go angel invest. We go do this. We
I
go
just
try to
passed
find
on
an
an AI thing that was going to guaranteed to 10x me with big
100%.
contracts. And I just passed on it this week. I just like no brainer 10x. I can kick myself, but I just like it just it wasn't in my bucket right now.
And here's the thing: is if you do this the same way I treat the fun bucket, because again, you might get in flow gambling in that way, and that's fine. If that's what you like to do, good for you. If you've already met the other buckets,
right? You allocate,
So what you do even better than that is you just take the same principle and you have like your own little wealth pyramid built specifically for your speculations. You say, I want to be able to gamble $100,000 a year. Okay, so you need $1 million. Go buy $1 million of have liquidity, cash flow. The cash flow that comes in lets you spin the wheel $100,000 a year on speculation. Right. So you have a $100,000 budget to go angel invest and buy speculative things. Speculation by nature is that I'm going to invest today and hope to have more money tomorrow. It doesn't really have much of a cash flow component. So if you have that, here's the beautiful thing is if you can keep spinning the roulette wheel, eventually you'll hit. And it is, I mean, the dopamine is great. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I love the dopamine. It's there. Like who doesn't want to say they picked out Uber before Uber was a thing? It's cool. It's fun. But usually people get to shoot one bullet, and if the bullet doesn't hit, you don't have much of a story.
You need 5 or 10 bullets. Really, 20 bullets is even better.
So do it over 20 years, 20 years of timeline. Have your cash flow and assets pay for the speculation piece, and then every year you get to have a fun thing. Yeah. This is cool.
I do a fun 10 things a year, but I do them in small increments.
Yeah, exactly.
Because to get to your 20x, it's like a television show or a big movie. 9 are going to fail. You have 9 flops for 1 hit. So if you're playing. It's like going to Vegas with 1 chip and going to the blackjack table, sitting down. Yeah. And if you think you can't go to the blackjack table with 1 chip.
Yes.
If you're going to play blackjack, you got to be stacked. You got to take some wins and losses. Hey, Sam, there's another part, if I remember, with the wealth pyramid. I feel like you had a relationship or a ratio between cash flow and liquidity. Do you remember that?
I do. And so with that will change over time based on the market environment. Like right now, we're honestly pushing a little bit more into liquidity just to be prepared for the next part of the market cycle. And so, I mean, you want a dollar cost average into your cash flow ideally. So that way you're not buying all at one point in the market cycle. So our goal is to mitigate the risk of market cycles as opposed to the risk of assets. But you at least want to have, if you think about it, the amount of cash I want to have on hand for my cash flow and assets is similar to how you would look at your personal balance sheet. If you live on, $200,000 a year, for example, you probably want to have at least $200,000 in the bank. So same idea.
6 to 12 months worth.
6 to 12 months, and kind of same idea. Think about making these things simple is helpful. So imagine it's one property, not a syndication with 7,000 doors, because that gets confusing.
Right.
One property, one door. So if you have this property and your tenants move out, and you have a change in the availability of the asset to cash flow, then what do you need to have? You need to have some cushion, so if it can sit idle for 4 months while you rehab and beautify it and whatever else. You don't end up having an asset that's not cash flowing, and now your mortgage is costing you money. You go into a negative cycle. Well, then the market changes and people don't rent it for as much. And so now you're losing money. And you say, well, this is a losing asset. I have to sell it. And that's when someone like yourself comes in and buys it for 40% off and holds it for a little bit of time. The market cycle recovers and you have a great asset.
Correct.
So having cushion keeps you from following the market cycles. The reason we want to have that liquidity buffer is so we can be counter-cyclical. And as far as the percentage on that, it is somewhat tied to the assets, but usually like 20 to 25% in liquidity is not a bad number in a market environment like we have today when liquidity is paying so well.
Correct.
And that would change and flip entirely. Like in 2020, for example, we made some acquisitions in that time frame because the market in that time was good to acquire because we had deflated prices and a lot of assets that were hit. Like I went and we bought a lot of oil stocks because, as much as I love my electric pickup, I still think fossil fuels have a place for a bit. And I didn't think travel was going to stop for the rest of our life.
Right.
Now, granted, I lived in Oklahoma and we didn't do a whole lot of COVID time for that, but that's its own thing. You have to kind of represent in Oklahoma. You have to invest a little bit there. But
Oklahoma meets Burning Man at this point, Sam.
That's right. Me. That's right. It's true. It will, honestly. But yeah, so that was that.
I think that makes sense. I actually keep, because of my business and I know that I can earn more money, I tend to keep higher amounts of liquidity.
Yes.
Because I see, opportunities for me that I can invest in. So but I've been waiting. I've been I've been in liquidity for 5-6 years.
Yep, absolutely.
People made fun of me. They're like, dude, why are you in so much liquidity? The market's hot. And it's just, for better or worse, it's also how I sleep peacefully at night.
I was going to get to that. Exactly that. JP, here's the thing. Question. Do you sleep really well having, whatever the number is? It's a large number in the bank. And it is not making as much money for you as it could, but do you sleep really well doing that?
Yes.
Absolutely. And here's the thing in the times when the market has crashed and you've been able to take confident action. So the reason I have my whole service with the whole wealth CEO piece is because my goal, that acronym is confident, efficient, and optimized. That's how I want my entrepreneurs I work with to feel, is confident, efficient, and optimized. And so we do a lot of work on the off times so that when opportunity hits, you can take advantage of liquidity moments like this. Because when that happens, you might have missed, say you could have made 15%, instead you made 5%. So you missed 10% for 5 years. That's almost doubling your money. But do you know how many times we can 3-4x our money in a few years when we're able to be liquid during a down cycle?
Yeah.
Because
that's a really good point.
Right now, savings rates are hitting all-time lows. COVID money is getting redeployed. I personally, my bold prediction is that we've got 12, 18 months or less that we're going to start seeing some really good deals. And I think the commercial real estate market is already showing that to you.
It is.
And so, you're going to see that in the next 6 months. The water's going down. Who doesn't have trousers is going to show, and we're going to be able to start buying real cheaply.
Yeah.
And
do you think equity stocks are going to follow a similar path? I mean, they're already at lows right now in September. Do you think stocks will continue to be hit, or are we finally taking some air out of PE ratios, or is the American economy just too resilient? I mean, overall,
I think that we have a level of resiliency there, and the reason why is because it's so. And I love this conversation. I don't even want to spend a lot of time in it because your listeners are gonna. I don't want it to get focused on it's.
Okay.
I find Wall Street to be so draining to the sense of control.
Yeah, it's probably like
and
real
power.
estate.
It's such a disempowering thing because we sit here and everyone wants to analyze it, and I like it. Like I love a good spreadsheet. I love these things, but in reality, what I think, like if you wanted the big nutshell, is that the elasticity we have in the economy is greater than it was in 2008, for example, because we have such high debt right now. The lever to increase, so there's only two things you can do with monetary and economic policy is you
lower rates or raise rates, right?
Yeah, well, you can add more money to the supply, increase volume, or you can lower rates and to increase velocity. And so we've already shown that we're willing to wantonly add money to the supply. So I don't know that that's going to ever go away because we did 25% of our entire monetary supply was added in COVID. Which was great, by the way. Good times.
That was a fun party.
Yeah, I enjoyed that part. But then like velocity, the lever could be lowered quite a bit. So we could lower the debt lever back down. We'd be able to increase velocity. So I think there's room for that elasticity. And that would help some of the commercial real estate as well. But I think a lot of those were just so upside down because of these insanely inflated equity prices that were played because there was so much of an influx of new dollars. Those dollars have started to go pull themselves into pockets that are sitting with them and putting them, they're not putting it back into the cycle.
Right.
They're pulling some off to the side. So those that have pulled chips to the side, I do think will be rewarded in that market heavily.
That's good. I'm going to stay on tactics. So let's talk about buckets because I actually follow this with my own portfolio. Yeah. Can you talk a little about how you allocate buckets, or maybe how someone who's starting to say, let's say they finally have a goal. Their goal is to get to, let's say their base case is 200 and their dream case of like living in total flow. What do you call that second part of your lifestyle? Is
lifestyle,
that what you call it?
Yeah.
Let's say lifestyle was $500,000. That's a pretty big lifestyle.
Yep.
But so what would be the next step in your tactics be? Would you allocate through buckets at that point, or what would you do?
We just continue doing the same thing. We continue building the wealth pyramid. We just expand it until the cash flow keeps meeting each of those things that are needed. The bucket conversation is oftentimes more as we get into more tactics related to the second area. So insecurity is one thing that keeps us out of our money flow. And the other one is feeling dumb about what we do. Because you need to tactically be good. You also you want to feel smart. And nothing makes people feel dumber than working with taxes. And the reason why is because every attorney and every CPA, I think that part of their schooling is that they go in there and they say, guys, you have to make this obtuse, because the more obtuse you make the longer people will sit there. And like these attorneys, I'm a talker. I've never met people who love to pontificate more than attorneys at $800 an hour.
Correct. And don't give you a definitive answer.
So that's one of the things I do with my clients is I'll go in there as their wealth CEO and I'll tell them, we can introduce me to the attorney. You can call me your secretary. You can call me your hired hand. You can call me your comptroller. I don't care what title we use. It kind of depends on the ego of the professional we're working with. And so then we get in there, we have a way to kind of keep the conversation on track and actually pin them down, because I know how to translate your goals to legalese and meet them in the middle somewhere and kind of work as the intermediary between that. But so when it comes to the buckets, a lot of that is more tax mitigation type stuff, where you say, okay, you're about to exit a business, or you just exited a business, you have these tax burdens. How do you understand tax strategy? And those are the buckets that each bucket may follow its own strategy of the wealth pyramid. But when it comes to building and maintaining and structuring wealth, the architecture of wealth is the wealth pyramid. That is true for all of your buckets. And then your buckets are, how do we change the relationships on our balance sheet between each asset?
Right.
So at its core, and this is, I'm going to give you want to do like a 2-minute lesson on tactics for buckets
Sure. One thing also, there might be different buckets too. Like the buckets I'm referring to are a little bit more like my investment concentration buckets, like from low risk to the least risky, which I'd call, which would be like liquid assets, to the most risky, which we talked about, equity.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually keep my money, and I'm going to put up a graphic on this.
Oh, cool.
Alex will put a graphic on this.
Yeah.
So I actually allocate percentage-wise. I know in my quarterly reports how I allocate between. So I like to know, based on my reinvestment rate of X, 8, 10%, which we won't get into, how I'm allocating. Because sometimes we tend to have a tendency, I think a lot of us, we over allocate towards risk when we don't need to. Because we're eager to get there, or it's sexier.
Yeah.
So I really like to see the numbers of where my cash is, where my low to moderate risk, where's my moderate risk, and then where's my high risk things, and kind of keep a ratio so that because there's always a good deal. Your friends are always going to pitch you the next deal. Yes. There's always a deal. Yeah. So I'm taking that more when I look at deals now, which helps me also make a decision. Is this a bucket that I'm looking for right now? Like I told you, like RV to me is a low to moderate risk real estate investment. I've been saying to you, Sam, I need a little more money in RV. The reason why I know that is because I know how much I have in cash as a percentage. I know what I have. I'm probably a little too rich in maybe say multifamily because of my own profession. I'd like to allocate, and that's why I came to you. So like it actually informs me on strategy with investment decisions. That call it risk analysis bucket. Yes. But you're talking more of your bucket's more of like a taxation or an asset legacy estate bucket, I think is what you were talking about.
Yes, I see. And actually that makes sense. Okay, so in the bucket side of things, then yes, 100% with that when it comes to determining what goes into your cash flow buckets. Within this range, like I did simplify it down, within that range, you are going to, you diversify to mitigate risk, you concentrate to build wealth. So if someone's in the wealth building phase, we oftentimes will say, hey, pair your capital with your time and go build your business, because that's where you create your wealth, is when you concentrate in one area. But when you're looking to start being in this phase, which is the next phase, which is architecting or being an architect of long-term, well-structured wealth, that's when you start doing these diversification plays where you do exactly what you said. You say, like, how do these different asset classes likely fare in different environments? And you just stress test it, whether it's the interest rate environment, you stress test it based on the commercial real estate environment. In a recession, where do people compress into? Do they compress into bigger homes? No, they compress into smaller homes. Like, what am I doing in that light to be prepared for a variety of different, like, not even outlier scenarios? This is what's crazy to me, is most of these are not outlier scenarios. These are things that are like almost guaranteed to happen in the course of the next decade. Yeah. That's just the way the cyclical markets work, is they follow these patterns.
Correct.
And so
that's amazing. So I'm trying to think where I want to take this either. So I could just nerd out for the next 20 minutes. I'm going to ask you one more question on tactics, and then I think I'm going to switch up after that. But this is so good. One of the things that I haven't been clear with on the wealth pyramid, so you can actually help me with this. Obviously, there's your passive income, where we talked about wealth is kind of meeting your burn rate or even higher in passive. But for a lot of people, that's very hard to do, because it takes $2 million to get to 200,000 or what have you. How do you include active income? Active income is obviously what you produce with your labor or your services, what your company creates. Yeah. So when you're dealing with a client, and let's just say their goal, same goal. Let's say their goal was 200,000 to survive and 500,000 was lifestyle. Yeah. What would you advise them between how much passive income do they need to create? And let's just say they make, for simplicity, let's just say they make $100,000 a year of profit. They take home $100,000 a year in their service or their job or what have you. How would you advise them, active versus passive, in putting the pyramid together?
That's a really good question. The pyramid is really built around structuring sustainable wealth that doesn't require anything from you.
Okay.
And so in my mind, I actually keep that somewhat separate.
Okay.
And it's I think that would be really helpful, because you can absolutely have both. And this is where I love this conversation. And this is where the spreadsheet brain and the heart kind of like start mixing together a little bit. Because in reality, I think I'm going to give you a unique answer that I'm going to say out loud. One of the things when you're an external processor is you get the right to, if this doesn't come out right, I get a chance to re-say it. But the idea is that I think that the more your active income actually serves the aspect of you meeting your goal. And remember, the end goal is to wake up happy, be present during the day, and go to bed at night peacefully. If your active income is actually serving that, then I have a lot more elasticity to count that towards this thing. For most people, that's not the case. Not most. I say a great majority of people, it's not the case.
I think in most cases, it's not the case. I would agree with you.
That's the key. So if you're able to reframe that, then I start to have a little bit of a conversation around it. Because like in your case, I mean, You wake up, you walk into an office with people who you have lots of intersection with. You very much enjoy it. It's a beautiful space. You're in flow for the majority of your day, I imagine. And when you're not, you go over to you have your own little hut that's just right on the other side that you can get a little space.
The casita.
Yeah, the casita. So, I mean, you operate in a way where your active income generated from the activities that still do take your time, that time spent is very congruent with your goals of waking up happy, going to bed at night peacefully, and being present in between.
Yeah.
And so,
I actually choose to do this.
Yes.
But that was a luxury. Before I had to. Now I get to choose to be here.
And this is the key. And this is why I'm glad you asked the question. The key with recognizing that, and this is the energy behind it, is that you're making this choice. So if you didn't have your security taken care of elsewhere, would you feel like you had a choice?
No, of course not. Not at all.
Yeah.
I spent many years in survival where I didn't have a choice. I had to buy diapers for my children.
Yes. Yeah. And everybody, and that's I say this with both like the understanding of like the realism of it, is that it does not mean that immediately, just because you change your mindset, that you will have the ability to go to a space where you are completely financially free. But that is the goal, is to be doing things out of choice, because choice and creation and impact all go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And so that's why I keep those two things separately in my mind but you can't hack this system.
Right. But if someone's still a long way away from getting to that, call it that 200 or 500 passive, and they got to, so I guess you could almost say like that active income, if they could just take X amount of dollars in their active income and they know every year they're putting a little dent in the money they're going to need.
Correct. And that's the goal, is like ideally in a perfect world when you don't have a clear path to instantly create this on day one. So some people will have the money necessary to do this. They just have to go tactically put it together, minimize their tax burden, and do this. But if you don't, you start heading that direction because that is your goal. And then the next thing you do is you try to see how can you start to adjust your life to be able to have the active income be more in alignment with the goal of waking up happy. And if you do that, you're actually creating a life that will put you in the state of being a creator while you're still in the build phase.
I think what's really important about that, Sam, is that a lot of people are waiting to be happy when they earn the money. Like I'll be happy. Yeah. I'll be a philanthropist when I do this, or I will be happy when I can be in a relationship with a girl when I can support her, when I can support a family. I don't want to be in a serious relationship. These all like, I will when. Yeah. And I think what I'm hearing you say is don't do that. Have your vision laid out, and that everything you do revolves around that emotion, that vision, and you start right away as if.
Outcome-based, baby, reverse engineer. It's so simple.
And the mindset, guys, if you're waiting to get to the mindset, you're going to waste many, many years. The mindset, that's a whole other story.
I love this. Actually, this is another podcast, but that's where it's at. This is the spot when people get this. This is what changes the way you interact on a day-to-day basis. It literally changes the chemistry.
I agree. Okay, Sam, we're winding up the show, but I'm going to do a power round with you. Ready for a power?
I'm ready for a power round.
I need a power. I'm going to ask you 6 questions. 3 are going to be how, or going to be what, and 3 are going to be why. I'm going to start with you ready for these?
Yes.
Power sentences. Okay. Go back and forth. Out of everything you know about stocks, bonds, insurance, for a normal person, not even the wealthy person, I know I could just say that, for the person who's, let's just say in our audience, let's say they're making $50,000 to $250,000 a year and they're just building wealth. Give me your 3 power tips between your asset classes that someone should look into.
God, that's good. Okay, let me think for a second.
Yeah.
Number one is I would focus on reducing unnecessary waste first.
Okay.
And that
bottled water.
The key
what
is
a waste.
The key is you always save water, shower together. That's the ticket.
Oh, that's good.
So,
I like it.
No, so we've got to reduce waste, and that would look like taxes, unnecessary interest expense, lost money by just bad strategy.
Unnecessary what expense?
Unnecessary interest expense.
Things
of that nature. So looking for where, and even for example, oftentimes people will make very poor decisions by not. Sometimes you acquire in bulk. Like the story I use is when Mark Cuban was looking at his best thing he could do as a college student, the first investment he made was actually buying his razors. You like this. He bought his razors in 6 months supply because he was able to reduce. He knew he had a fixed expense by budgeting and having cushion, by having liquidity. He was able to improve his cash flow.
Got it.
And so reducing your expenses is often the first place when you're in that build phase that you can reduce some of the leaks and be very efficient. So number one is focus first on reducing his expenses, because then everything else becomes more efficient from that day going forward. That'll pay dividends to you for the rest of your life. Number 2 is get counter-cyclical. How can you be able to make acquisitions when we're not following the market cycle overall? And then step 3 is invest in your relationship with money.
Love that.
And if you do those 2 things, you will be so far ahead of the rest of it.
Wow. I think if you watch this podcast a few episodes, you'll be investing in your relationship with money. Because I've got some pretty smart people from the planet helping you guys with this stuff.
Oh, man.
Pay attention. Great. Okay. So we just went into some of the tactical. Any more tacticals? I'm about to ask you about some of the whys. Is there any more whats or hows you want to anything else within that? Those are powerful.
There's a whole topic on how taxes work, but basically
let's say that first.
It's going to be another podcast for
another
that.
podcast. Yeah. You could totally, between your advice on insurance and taxes and estate planning, which you're helping me with right now, it's like a whole other level. Yeah. I mean, so we'll save that. Okay. We have to come back. Maybe we'll do a live one together. Maybe we'll do a live. That'd be fun. Okay. Let's go into why. So Sam, I've seen a lot of your transformation. I think you've seen me grow too. You said to me just recently, I said, Sam, God, you've really changed. You are so in your heart. And it's so nice to see people who are so good in their brain about money drop into their heart and have that heart-brain coherence. There's not many of us out there. And so it's so much fun. Yeah. You have dropped so deeply into your heart. Yeah. And I asked you a question and it was an interesting response and I want to hear more about it. I said to you, Sam, so what is your why? What is your ultimate win and what is your why? And you took a breath. You were in my office and you kind of closed your eyes, if you remember. I had to slow you down a little bit because you and I are both hyper processors. Yeah. We hyper process. And you slowed down and you said, I see myself on a boat and I'm hosting people. And I know that the people that I brought together that I curated on that boat, I'm bringing so much to them. They're going to have new friendships, new relationships. They're learning new things. And that meant so much to me. And I said to you, Sam, why is that important to you? And how does this relate to your mission? And I want to see if you can remember your response to what that response was.
I love this because it does show how much these things evolve over time. Because I can tell you my why over the last decade has constantly evolved. There's a thread of where it started to where it ended, but it's constantly evolved. But no, that's important to me. I don't know what the answer I gave at the time was, but I believe it was something to the tune of, I've had this experience in my life where I have had these massive points of intersection and I've felt these points of freedom in the things of the way it's put me into my state of flow, the way it's put me into creator state, the way it's put me in that state of creativity, and being able to share that and help entrepreneurs and investors enter into that state of creation it is the most rewarding thing I can possibly do on the planet. And there's nothing that has ever made me feel my impact more directly than being able to consistently put entrepreneurs into the state of creativity.
And do you know why the emotion, why that's so important, why that feels so good to you? I do. Why do you suppose that bringing investors, your ability through your heart and mind, before it was a lot of your mind, now it's heart and mind, to get people into their total creator state? What do you think the emotion for you, what drives you in your soul to do that?
What's funny is, as you asked that question, I could feel myself wanting the answer immediately because I like having the answers before you've finished the question. Yeah. I don't have it. I'm actually really excited to get the reflection back from someone I respect. So I want to have that reflection back from you. What's the reason that you perceive?
I perceive because of your journey. You've gone from a childhood and relying so heavily on your head, and you were just a hyper processor, and you were being given liberation.
Oh wow!
Where you were able to get out of your head and into your body. Yeah, and I was there for some of that.
Oh yeah,
and into your heart.
Yeah,
and it's such a gift, and the freedom and liberation that when you can not get rid of your head, but integrate your head with your heart, the liberation, the joy that it lifts you to. And I think that what you want to do is take the liberation that you've been able to experience and share it with the world.
I appreciate that because my brain was all involved. My brain was running that show. You asked me the question, I was writing my brain. As soon as you started talking about like that feeling of internal gut feeling, intuition resonated. I could feel it at my core because that is one thing is I have taken some of the load off of my brain when it comes to decision making and taken some of it to my heart and my intuition. The level of freedom, the amount of energy I have available, because instead of my brain trying to overprocess and run everything like it does, oh my goodness, when you're able to lean into and trust that intuition a little bit, and nothing makes it easier to trust your intuition, like defining your goals and creating good community. And I just want everyone to have that feeling because it is like when you do that, the amount of energy, I probably have 10 times the energy I had 5 years ago.
And I feel the same way, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I've watched it. I remember.
I'm a little older than you and I still have that. And it's actually defining your goals. Yeah. I would add one more thing to what you said. Yes. Having good strategies so that you feel safe. Right. Because you got those goals licked. Yep. and then knowing your purpose and your why and living that why, then that's the trifecta, right?
It is.
Yeah. So Sam, wow. I didn't know where we were going to go today with this, but if this was the one episode, if one person could only listen to one podcast this year and now to up-level their life, their happiness, and their money, I would tell them to listen to this podcast. Wow. Yeah.
If I told people to listen to one podcast in general, I would tell them to listen to you. And this has been very, I've just loved being here. I hope you know how much I appreciate getting to spend time here with you and just share this space.
Let's continue, because you can continue with some more sophisticated badass advice. Thank you for being here. I love you so much.
Likewise.
And till our next adventure.
Thank you, JP. Love you too.
Cool.